Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for this video because I'm going to be showing you guys how I got this look using a full face of Wet n Wild makeup. Wet n Wild is quickly becoming one of my favorite drugstore brands, and they absolutely kill it with so many of their launches. So many of their formulas and products are so good, and I cannot believe how low their price point has been and has remained over these past few years. So this tutorial is going to be very budget friendly. Everything from Wet n Wild is $5 and under. There were two or three steps that I didn't have Wet n Wild products that I had to replace with other drugstore brands, but I promise you guys those other brands are almost just as affordable and the products are just as good. But I really wanted to make this as affordable as possible for you guys, and I want to show you guys that you can get a really beautiful and full glam look using such affordable makeup. You don't have to break the bank and you don't have to go spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars at Sephora to do really beautiful makeup. I wanted to do something on my eyes a little bit more colorful. I know it's not really colorful, but I really love how it turned out. This whole look is kind of giving me summer vibes, and it's kind of making me want warmer weather, but I really hope that you guys enjoyed seeing this full face of Wet n Wild. Like I said, 2 or 3 steps are in Wet n Wild, so I hope that you guys don't mind, but I did my best to replace those steps with really affordable and similar alternatives. So I really hope that you guys enjoy seeing this full face video, and let's just go ahead and get started. So let's get started with this full face of Wet n Wild. You guys know, as always, I'm going to be starting off with my brow. So I have the Ultimate Brow Retractable Brow Pencil in the shade Ash Brown. This is what that looks like. Really resembles to me like the Anastasia Brow Definer. It has that similar tip, kind of similar to my Americano Brow Pencil by Trestique as well. Just has that little bit of a thicker tip. I have really been liking pencils like this. I think I will always prefer something more like the Brow Wiz, but this is still really good, and I do believe that if you guys like something a little bit thinner as well, Wet n Wild does make like a micro tip kind of pencil that looks more like the Brow Wiz. So here are the brows on. I feel like the color is looking a little bit harsh and dark on me right now, and also it could be just because I don't have any other makeup on my face, but I am going to go in and clean it up like I said, and hopefully the look will come together when I put on eyeshadow and stuff like that. But I don't have a concealer from Wet n Wild. I never went out and repurchased that one just because it wasn't my absolute favorite, but if I don't have a product for a certain step, which there are very few in this video, I will definitely replace it with something just as affordable or something almost as affordable. So when I was looking through my collection and looking for an affordable concealer, of course the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer came to mind. This concealer is great. It is only $5 if you pick it up at the drugstore, Target, Ulta, any place like that, whereas I believe the Wet n Wild one is $3, so there's not a huge difference there, and I actually think the e.l.f. one is a lot better than the actual Wet n Wild one in my personal opinion. So I'm gonna use this today to clean up my brows as well as prime my lids. Alright you guys, so I just popped my hair back because I was having some issues with my brows, and I was just like getting frustrated, so I had to put my hair back. But I don't know, I've used this brow pencil before and I've always really liked it, but like it's giving me some issues today. But we're just gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the eyes, and I will see if I can fix them after my eyeshadow is done or after the rest of the face is done. I've just literally been filming for 21 minutes and all I have done is my brows. So I definitely don't think the pencil's bad. In my opinion, it's just really hard for me to get like my perfect brow without using my perfect products, if that makes any sense. So again, not a bad product, just not exactly what I'm used to working with. I definitely think it's a little bit more like waxy and smudgy in some areas, and that was really coming through when I was carving out the brow. So for shadows, Wet n Wild makes amazing shadows, and they're so affordable. So here I have 2 of their color icon palettes in Comfort Zone and Not a Basic Peach, and these are only $4.99 each, and I think these are really great shadows and palettes. So here is Comfort Zone. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. The original Comfort Zone palette was around for years and years, and this one is like their little revamped version of it. And then this one right here is Not a Basic Peach, which has more of those fun colorful shades. I loved this during the summer. This is a very summertime palette, but I think today I might use like some of these neutral shades, but I guess we'll see. I don't really have a look in mind. I'm just gonna kind of go into it, play around, and see what I could come up with between these 2 palettes. So even though I don't really know what kind of look I'm going for, you really can't ever go wrong with a nice basic neutral brown transition. So I'm going to take this shade from the Comfort Zone palette and start building that up in and above my crease as my transition shade, and then I will build from there. These eyeshadows are so pigmented, you guys. Whenever someone asks me for drugstore shadow recommendations, these are like the only ones I could think of. I've tried Maybelline shadows, I've tried CoverGirl shadows, literally all other drugstore brands. I don't think that any other brand has better eyeshadows than Wet n Wild. I just really think they do it so well, and I feel like they are probably the cheapest of them all as well. I'm gonna go in now with the other bigger transition shade in this palette. This is like a little bit of a deep maroon brown shade. I think this is really pretty, and I think it will look really nice a little bit lower in the crease underneath the original transition. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of a smaller brush. This is a little Sigma tapered blending, and start just lightly applying it in that crease area. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in and prep for my lid shade. I'm just gonna go in with a little bit more of that e.l.f. concealer and cut out the front part of my lid. I definitely think when it comes to Wet n Wild shadows, the mattes are better than the shimmers. I think the shimmers just need a little bit of help upon application. They're definitely not horrible, but I do recommend using them with some sort of base as well as a little bit Fix Plus or something. So when I do use these shimmers or the metallic shades in the Wet n Wild palettes, I always like to go in with just a little bit of concealer and kind of map out where I want that lid shade to go, and it will definitely help that shade pop a little bit more. On my lid now, I'm going to switch over to the Not a Basic Peach palette, and I'm going to go in with this really beautiful golden shade right here. I loved using this whole palette and this shade, like I mentioned, so much in the summer. This is a really pretty shade, and I think it's going to look nice with the mattes that I have on my lid today. And like I mentioned, I do like to go in and spray these particular shadow formulas, so I'm just going to go in with the spray from Wet n Wild, and it is their 3-in-1 primer water in Rose. Ooh, this is so pretty, this gold shade. I also find that this formula works best when you kind of pat it on top of that concealer rather than really swiping it. You're gonna get the most color payoff when you really pack the color onto the lid. I feel like this gold shade right now is one of those like borderline like yellow green golds. It's kind of like reminding me a little bit of Trophy Wife by Fenty. That's kind of like the vibe I'm getting from this, but I love it. And then of course, just to further deepen everything up, actually I don't think this is deeper than the shade we used last time. It's just a little bit warmer. This is the transition shade in the Not a Basic Peach palette. It's just a little bit more of a warm brown, so I'm gonna take this now and really pack it on that outer corner where the gold shade kind of meets those other crease shades, just to fill in that little space right there. Ooh, so nice. Look how pigmented that is. That color is so good. I'm telling you guys, the formula of these matte shadows from Wet n Wild are so good. You would literally never even guess that it's from a $4.99 palette. They're so insanely smooth and buttery. And you guys know I love a really dramatic eye look, so of course I cannot stop there. Lastly, I'm just gonna take this really deep brown shade in the Not a Basic Peach palette, and again, just put a little bit of that on the outer corners just to further deepen everything up out there. Really just focusing this shade lower and closer to my lash line right here. Okay, so my eyes are finished. I'm gonna move on to the skin now. I went off camera and did my mascara. I don't have a Wet n Wild mascara just because I have tried a few and I just didn't really like any of the ones that I've tried. I just feel like they didn't really do much for me. If you guys have any Wet n Wild mascara recommendations, definitely let me know, but I just went off camera and used my holy grail Maybelline Total Temptation. If you guys want a really amazing and really affordable mascara, definitely check out the Essence Lash Princess, the False Lash Effect. I'll pop a picture up here so you guys can see. I believe it is like $3 or $4, $5 max, and it is seriously an amazing mascara. So I would definitely check that one out over Wet n Wild ones. I just didn't want to run out and get the Wet n Wild one for the sake of this video because I just know I don't like them and I wouldn't want to recommend something that doesn't work for me to you guys. So with that being said, now we're going to go ahead and work on the skin. I'm going to go back in with the primer spray first in Rose. I've been loving this a lot. Wet n Wild had setting sprays and primer waters in the past that I wasn't a huge fan of, but this stuff is really, really good, and it also comes in coconut and cucumber if you guys like a little bit of a different scent. But I have the Rose one because you guys know, if you've been watching me, I love Rose. It is my absolute favorite scent when it comes to skincare and things like that. This stuff is seriously so good, you guys. You know I'm such a believer in sprays before my makeup. I love my Smashbox primer water. I genuinely feel like this is so great, and I think it's only like $4.99 or something like that. Everything from Wet n Wild is so inexpensive, and this feels so hydrating and cooling and just refreshing on the skin. So I definitely recommend picking this up. To further prime my skin today, I have their Photo Focus Face Primer in Till Prime Dew Us Part. So this is their dewy face primer. This stuff is absolutely no joke, you guys. If you want to glow underneath your foundation, this is the way to go. When I first got it, I was a little bit confused because I was like, it says primer, but it literally looks like a liquid highlighter. I'm gonna show you guys today what it looks like all over the skin. Typically day to day, I won't go for a primer like this. This is the only primer that I have from Wet n Wild though, so that's why I'm gonna use it today all over my skin. Like I mentioned in my last video, I do like to pick and choose where I'm dewy because I feel like a primer like this can tend to emphasize some spots on my face, especially putting the dew everywhere. But the Wet n Wild foundation is a lot on the matte side, so hopefully using the two together will kind of even everything out and give me more of a satin finish. So I will show you guys what the primer looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this all over my face now. As you guys can see, it is a pretty like runny consistency, but do you see how metallic it is running down my finger? That's how dewy it is on the face as well. Oh, this smells like sunscreen. I forgot about that. Does this have sunscreen in it? It smells a lot like it does. Do you guys see how dewy my skin is right now? I told you it's seriously like putting a liquid highlighter all over your face. You definitely don't look foiled by any means. Like, I don't look like I just did the full face of highlighter challenge like I did back in the day. That is like such an embarrassing video, but I feel like this is the most dewy and luminous a primer has absolutely ever made my skin look. I do really like it, but I feel like there's definitely sunscreen in this because it smells a lot like it. I have the Photo Focus foundation as well from Wet n Wild. This is what this looks like. This is just their classic foundation. I know since then they have come out with a foundation stick. Definitely let me know if you guys have tried that stick. I'm curious to see if the foundation stick just has a little bit of a nicer finish than this foundation. This foundation is seriously matte, you guys. I really like this a lot more when I first tried it, but now I am going for a little bit more of that satin to natural finish when I do my makeup. This dries down very, very, very matte, and I also don't remember how this color is for me, so this is light, medium, warm, soft beige. So it might be a little bit too warm for me now. I'm pretty sure I bought this during the summer months, and it matches me pretty okay in the summer, but I have lost some color in the winter, so let's see how this is. I haven't used this in a while, so let's see. And if you guys have never used this foundation before, again, it is $5, a really great steal. And it has a little paddle like this that you just wipe the foundation on your face and you apply it directly from the paddle. I don't know how much of this I'll need. Yeah, that color might be a little dark for me now, but we'll make it work. Also, this foundation smells a lot like paint, so if that is something that bothers you, I definitely wouldn't recommend this one. It definitely has that very, very heavy, like chemically paint smell to it. And then since I do remember this being more of a heavy full coverage matte foundation, I'm gonna go in with a wet sponge to hopefully sheer it out a little bit and give me a nicer finish to the skin. Ooh. That looks really pretty with a wet sponge on top of the dewy primer. I'm pretty sure I've never used the combination of this foundation and this primer, but it's really pretty. Look at that. Ooh, okay. That looks a lot better than I remember this foundation looking on my skin. So taking a look at my skin, this foundation is actually a lot prettier than I remember it being. Like I said, I haven't used it in a while and I was scared that this was going to be a little bit like heavy on the skin for how I like my foundation to be now. I definitely still think that this does look like makeup-y on the skin. It is a very high medium coverage foundation. I wouldn't say it's totally full because I do still see some like beauty marks and like this little pimple scar peeking through right here. I definitely think that if you don't like a dry look to your skin, you might have to manipulate this a lot, or you might just want to stay away from it. But I feel like it looks a lot better than I remember it looking. Let me zoom you guys in and hopefully you could see how it just looks like a little bit makeup-y on the skin, especially like around the nose and stuff like that. But granted, I definitely still see that dew from the primer peeking through, and I feel like it doesn't look bad. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't have the Wet n Wild concealer. It just wasn't my favorite. So again, underneath my eyes and to conceal and highlight my face, I'm gonna use the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer, and I have mine in the shade Light Beige. Off camera, I went ahead and finished up my concealer. I also went ahead and powdered my skin because the Wet n Wild powders that I have tried, I haven't been a huge fan of. And again, I didn't want to use anything in this video that I thought was bad or that I really just couldn't recommend to you guys. So I have tried the pressed powder from Wet n Wild and I just didn't like it. I've purchased it twice and it just wasn't my thing. So maybe they have a newer powder that I want to get my hands on and try, but for now, I just used my Holy Grail powder. I used the Maybelline Loose powder, which is also very affordable. You could get it for about $5 on Amazon. To bronze my skin, this is a brand new product that I'm going to be trying. It is their Color Icon bronzer. I have mine in the shade Ticket to Brazil. I have swatched this and I featured it in a makeup haul recently. I haven't used it on the skin because I just have a feeling that this is going to be too light for me, that it's not going to be the type of bronzer that I like. I don't know if you guys can see, it's on my middle finger right there. When I swatch it, it just really doesn't translate that well onto the skin. It just looks a little bit like orange and powdery, almost like a highlighter, if you guys can see on the back of my hand right there. But I still figured that I would try it out today in this video just because it is from Wet n Wild and I want to try as many things as I can that I have in my collection from them today. So I'm gonna use this. It is a little powdery, like when I dip my brush in there, a lot of powder comes off. Okay, I see it a little bit on my forehead, for sure. It's translating onto my forehead. I don't really see it on my cheeks though. I mean, I see it like a little bit, but it's not like really doing much for my skin tone, I feel. Let me hit the forehead again, because I feel like it really showed up on my forehead. Yeah, I feel like it looks nice on my forehead. As far as this bronzer goes, I definitely feel like it's giving me color on my forehead. I'm sure you guys could see around the outsides of my forehead. It is giving me that color. It is a very luminous bronzer, which I don't mind that at all. I think luminous bronzers are pretty, but I just feel like, especially looking straight on the cheek area, it's not warming up the skin how I would want it to. I'm just seeing a lot of that reflect on the skin. So I think I'm gonna have to go in with something else just to darken up my cheek area a little. I just like a really sculpted cheek. It's just my preference. To give my skin a little more color, I'm going to use the Mega Glow contouring palette in the shades Caramel Toffee. This one is supposed to be like a contour for tan to deep skin tones, but I've always found that this made a really nice bronzer shade. It is very dark and very pigmented. Like, you have to be so light-handed with this shade, but I am going to just tap really lightly in it and go over my cheek area just to bronze that up a little bit more. There we go. The Wet n Wild Color Icon blushes are some of the best that I've tried. They have so many beautiful shades. A recent new one that they've come out with that I've been obsessing over is Keep It Peachy. You guys know I love a good peachy lip. I love a good peachy cheek. I'm just so into peach, and this is the absolute like most perfect color. I've only had it for about a week now, but it seriously is turning into my favorite blush really, really quickly, and it is only $2.99, and you guys are gonna see how much pigment I get off of this. It has a lot of color payoff. I cannot believe the price point. So just applying this on my cheekbones with the Wet n Wild blush brush. By the way, Wet n Wild brushes are incredible. If you guys don't own any, I definitely would recommend them. And as always, when applying blush, I like to kind of brush it more back on the face. I never focus my blush on the apple of my cheek because I feel like that could really tend to round out the face, whereas brushing it back is just such a nicer technique for my face shape personally. So that's what I've been doing. I think the best thing that Wet n Wild makes hands down are their Mega Glow highlighting powders. For these being $4.99, you would swear I had like a $40 highlighter on my face. They are the literally incredible highlighters. I have not tried anything better from the drugstore. So I have mine in a few shades here. I do have more shades back home, but the ones I have in school with me here are Precious Petals. This one is gonna give you more of a rose gold finish to the skin. So this is what this one looks like. It's gorgeous. I love that one a lot. Then also I have a Golden Flower Crown, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's a really pretty true golden highlighter. And then the last one that I have here I think is going to be perfect if you are more on the fair side. This one I do like to mix or to put on the very tips of my cheekbones or like on the tip of my nose. I like to use this one more as an accent highlighter, and this one is called Blossom Glow, and it's a really pretty icy pink shade. But I think for this look, just because we have more of a golden theme and like a warm theme going on today, I'm gonna go in with Golden Flower Crown. I use this one a bunch, a lot here on my channel, a lot off camera as well, and when I tell you, I get so many compliments when I wear this highlighter, and pretty much no one ever believes me when I tell them that it is Wet n Wild. It is just that good. So trust me when I tell you that if you guys need something from Wet n Wild, it is their highlighters for sure. To make sure all the powders are nice and melted into my skin, I'm going to go in one more time with the 3-in-1 primer water. This does have a little bit of a heavy spray, so this isn't my most ideal setting spray, but I would just recommend holding this one a little bit farther from the face just so you don't soak the skin or ruin any makeup that is on the face. Always got to do a test spray. Alright, so we are almost done now. I just have to finish up my lower lash line and pop on some lip color. So for my lower lash line, I think I'm going to spice it up a little bit and take this green shade since I am wearing this like dark green sweater. I think it'll just tie in nicely, and I think it'll just be like a different fun pop of color for this look. So that's what I'm going to do. Ooh, I think that looks really cool. I like how that looks a lot. It is kind of bunching up on my contact lens. Alright, so my eyes are all done. I really like how they turned out. I think that subtle pop of green on the lower lash line is super cute. I feel like it keeps the look nice and fresh, and it's almost like borderline kind of summery, so I feel like that's really nice. But now to finish up the look with lips, I'm going to be using their Perfect Pout Gel Lip Liner in Bear to Comment. Their lip liner formula is really great as well. So creamy, and I love lip liners that I don't really have to sharpen. And the lipstick that I love from Wet n Wild is in Bear It All. I believe these are like $1.99 or $2. The formula is really great, and this specific shade is very, very close to Velvet Teddy from MAC. Really almost spot on. If you wanted to, you could totally just go ahead and leave the look like this, but my lips have been really dry, so just to hide that a little bit and add some more moisture to my lips, I'm gonna go in with their Color Icon lip gloss. This particular one is in the shade Featherless, and it was limited edition to last summer, but I think the formula is just so great on this, and I do think that you still can get this on Wet n Wild's website. If not, then they do have other colors of their Color Icon glosses. Alright, you guys, so that is going to complete this full face of Wet n Wild. Here's the look that I came up with. There are so many different possibilities. Wet n Wild releases so many collections. They have so many different palettes. If you guys don't like this color scheme, you could totally go a different way, but I definitely was feeling something a little bit more vibrant and colorful. This is definitely more colorful than I typically do. I really hope that you guys enjoyed seeing this video and seeing that you can get a really nice glam look for only using products that are under $5. I really love Wet n Wild. Some of their stuff are hits and some of their stuff are misses, but nonetheless, I definitely think they are a very good good brand. And if you guys want to shop, I will have all of the products that I used in today's video linked down below for you with shade names and all of that good stuff. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and also make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel before you leave. I would love to have you guys here as part of my little YouTube fam. If you don't want to miss out on any of my future videos, click that notification bell down below and you'll get notified every single time that I upload a new video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and of course, I will see you in my next one. Bye guys!